Hello and welcome to the Westford DEI Committee's podcast that we call Inclusive Conversations. This is one of a series. Please check it out at our website. The other podcasts, we're honored to be able to prepare this and record it at the Westford Community Access Television studio, a very state-of-the-art studio, and we thank Ryan Cousins for his work. Today, Anjali Rajput and I'm Joe Diamond, we're co-chairs of the DEI Committee, are pleased to welcome Jen Melanson, who is the Community Services Coordinator in Chelmsford. She is an LCSW. LCSW,
yeah.
Thank you.
No I.
No I, okay, thank you very much. And is the co-vice chair of the DEI Committee in Chelmsford. And we're also joined by Bill Campbell, who is the chair of the DEI Committee in Chelmsford. This is part of our effort to learn from our neighbors, to share information with and learn from our neighbors about DEI work. And for us, it fits within one of our strategic directions, which is outreach and providing information about DEI, about diversity, equity, inclusion, and also, selfishly perhaps, helping us to do our work in Westford. And we hope that Bill and Jen learn a little bit from us too. But today our main focus is learning from you all. But before we get started, let me just ask Anjali to say hello.
Hello, and thank you for, again, listening to our podcast, to Inclusive Conversations from Town of Westford DEI Committee. Happy to be here.
The charge of our committee, it might be similar to yours, part of it is the committee will identify needs around fostering acceptance and valuing diversity and discourage prejudice and discrimination against any person, group, or any other status protected by law on account of race, creed, color, income, religion, national origin, ancestry, gender, sexual orientation, veteran status, age, or disability. That's been our charge, and we, if you will, pursue it, live by it. We've also recently undertaken an effort, and we're pretty close, I think, to conclusion of developing both a vision and a mission statement. It felt like it was a really good time to do that because we've been working for 3 years now. Along with the charge, we have a better perspective on where we see, we hope, Westford is going. So we don't have the vision yet to read out loud because we want to present it to the select board and to the school board. We happen to be a committee created by the select board and the school board, an advisory committee. So we're appointed and oftentimes we'll work with those two boards on initiatives. So let me stop there with a little bit of background about Westford's DEI Committee and ask you all a little bit about yours, starting with perhaps a little history. Jen, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Thank you for having us here. I'm really excited to be having this conversation. And just as you said, we're here to learn from you just as much as you're wanting to learn from us. Mm-hmm. So the Chelmsford DEI Committee has been in existence since like early 2021. Mm-hmm. It was, it was late 2020. It came as a result, as many DEI initiatives across the country started as a result of the George Floyd murder. And it actually grew out of a Chelmsford High School student-led movement. Oh. So after the George Floyd murder, there was a high school student from Chelmsford who reached out to my office at Community Services and wanted to put together, there were students that wanted to put together a vigil for George Floyd, and they asked for my help in doing that. So I was able to connect them with our police department, our chief at the time, who's now retired, but Chief Spinney was very, very, very non-traditional in his way of running his department, in that he really welcomed inclusive efforts with the community. And Chelmsford Police is really known for that, for being very heavily involved in the community. So Chief Spenny was very happy to have his department on board. And so it really was kind of a joint effort between these students and various town entities that put on this really large vigil that we had for George Floyd on the town common. And it was just so great to see so many people come together and start talking about these issues, you know, and it was a very peaceful event with some great speakers, particularly really powerful student speaker from the high school. And so that really got the attention of the town, and particularly the select board. And so as a result of that, the select board decided that, you know what, we probably should have a DEI committee in our town. And so our committee is also the result of the select board deciding to put together a committee, and that's how it was formed.
Well, it sounds similar to ours.
Same time frame,
Yep.
basically, because even Westford DEI Committee was put together in the late 2020, as I recollect. Similar incidents as well. We didn't have a vigil as you're talking about. We did we have few activities, Joe? I'm not sure about that in the town around that time.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. I'm also intrigued by the involvement of the school, of the high
Yeah.
school,
Yeah.
because we've, in the process of us developing a vision statement, the idea of sort of generations, different generations have different perspectives on DEI,
Sure.
but we need to make sure that we involve young people. So
Absolutely.
that must have been an interesting aspect. For
It was
you.
really tremendous to see these young kids spearhead this vigil and put it together. And, you know, all I did was facilitate them being able to use the common and have police presence to direct traffic. And also, you know, our police chief spoke at the vigil about the efforts that his department makes within the community. So, you know, I really was merely a facilitator. It was the students, you know, this was very student led. They were the ones that planned the program, that lined up the speakers, that they did everything. And it was tremendous.
Are the students still involved a little bit?
So they've all graduated, and they've gone off to a couple of them I keep in touch with, and they're very, very socially active, which does not surprise me. So, yeah.
Do you still connect with some of the high school students or even younger? In
Yeah,
town?
for sure. For sure. Yeah. We, we'll talk about maybe some of the events that our committee does, and we're always trying to get young people involved. And I'll even let Bill in a little bit talk about efforts that we've been able to make with the school's DEI committee, and forging a partnership there so that we have that connection with them.
Bill, what's your take on the formation of?
Well, you know, Jen does a good job of saying how we started out. There's 9 members on our committee. You sign up for I think it's 2 or 3 year term, but you know, basically people can be on or off when they feel they want to serve. So there's 9 members. We have all 9 filled right now. To apply, there's an application online. And then once the application goes directly to the select board and they approve or disapprove of a member, and then they come to us. So we have 9 people right now. And over the time I've been on this, which is about maybe 2 years, there is more and more efforts to get into more and more things. We don't have a budget. It's all us doing it mostly with volunteers. But we have accomplished a fair amount of activities. Like over the last year, we did many things for Black History Month. We did quite a few activities for Pride Day. Jen can go into that. She spearheaded that around drag shows for kids and for adults. We just finished a vigil last night for Sonia Massey, the terrible event that happened with a Black woman in Illinois. We have a collaboration with the First Parish Church where they work on transgender events. There's a Day of Remembrance and a Day of Visibility. One is in the fall, one is in the spring, and we've collaborated with them to move their event from the church into the Chelmsford Center for the Arts. So we work with them. We also have a member that's spearheading Asian Pacific Islander. In the month of May, we had a couple little things to get started to identify that part of our population. We have plans to work on a International Day of Peace, just to be a presence on the Common on September 28th. And we've had some people reach out to us that we're trying to work with to expand our reach where we could. The schools, Chelmsford Schools has a DEI committee itself.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to we asked them to come to one of our meetings, and me and someone else went to one of their meetings, and they're really anxious to work together. The schools now have these things called, in high school especially and the middle school, affinity groups in the high schools for more of the student body that isn't mainstream. So there's affinity group for Black students, there's affinity group for trans or gay students, there's affinity group. I'm just giving my knowledge, which is not in depth. But they are trying to do some things, and they want to work with us on that, and we want to work with them, because they're a big part of what we want to try to do. So it's just starting to be a collaboration. We don't know where it's going to go, but they have some things they're working on. They're collecting data to see how the community feels about getting involved, especially marginalized parts of the community. So that's one aspect of us expanding to try and work with. We also have a collaboration with this woman that lives in town from an Enterprise Bank that we just started working with. Enterprise Bank has a DEI department, and she is the coordinator of that department, Sonia Thiem. So I got her name right?
Sophie.
Sophie Thiem. And Sophie has reached out to us now to work with us on certain things, especially around Indigenous Peoples Day in October, and also the Caribbean. I think Caribbean month is in June as well.
Bill, let me jump in for a second. You've said a lot that has provoked a lot of thought.
Sorry.
Actually. Oh no, I wanted to. There are 2 or 3 things that I wanted to follow up on. One is the structure of the committee. That is, you all work with the schools. There's a DEI committee in the schools in Westford. We happen to be connected because they have school committee has a liaison to the DEI committee in Westford. But it sounds like you're working with the schools too, which is, maybe that happens naturally. It sort of makes sense, right? That you'd work with the schools.
We're just starting. Starting, kind of.
Yeah, this is kind of a newer partnership for us with the schools. Yeah.
The early stages of starting to see how we can work together, yeah.
We also worked with the curriculum director for a while. We hope to continue that, just so you know. Another thing you mentioned was collaborations. And last night we talked about that this today is certainly an example of that, but we wanted to build on it. And you mentioned Indigenous Peoples Day. Before we get to that, though, I did want to ask Anjali to talk a little bit about the Indian independence celebration.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that is on your radar or not, Bill. India Independence Day happens in August, and I was talking to somebody in IAGB, which is India Association of Greater Boston, and they are going to do a flag hoisting on August 10th in Westford. Not sure if you or any other organization has any plans on Chelmsford Center around that. If not, maybe we could join hands, and then some members of the DEI committee from Chelmsford could attend this event, or some select board members could attend, and then after this podcast we could share some contact information with each other so that we could send the invites to those dignitaries.
You're saying it's on August 10th? Is it at Westford Common? Or?
Yes, August 10th, Westford Commons between 11 and 1. So it will start actually at 11 a.m.
You know, of course, we'd like to support your efforts on these kind of things. We have nothing planned for that. We have plenty of plans already that we can't figure out how we're going to handle. But if you send us your information, if you send me, I mean, Joe has my information and Jen's information. If you send it to me, I will send it out to the rest of the committee. And anybody that can't attend will try to support you, I'm sure.
Perfect. And then would you also help in socializing that on your social media? Because then, you know how you would have the Indian communities or anyone else. The invitation is extended to the entire town of Chelmsford to come and attend that event here in Westford Commons.
Yeah, we have a DEI social media page on Facebook that we can share that information through. And then also I have a professional page, Chelmsford Community Services Coordinator on Facebook as well, that I distribute a lot of that kind of information. So I think we're very happy to share those opportunities with our followers, and particularly since, we don't have a planned event around that. Sadly, I'll be traveling out of the country during that time, so I won't be able to make it. But I think that there are many members of our community who would really like to attend something like that.
That'll be great. Thank you so much. And I know there was another question that popped my mind earlier was when you asked about the structure, Joe. So there are two parts of the structure. One part is how the DEI committee is structured. So what I understood is that Bill is the chair, and then there are two co-vice chairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then that makes it 3. So then there are other 6 members who.
We also have a treasurer and a secretary.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
you have a designated secretary who takes the notes all the
Yes.
time. Okay.
Yeah, and she does a terrific job with them too. She's very thorough.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
We have a treasurer for whatever money we have, which isn't too much. It takes care of the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Perfect.
good. It's good you have a budget. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Last night, I do want to talk about Indigenous Peoples Day in a second, but last night we were lucky to host at our meeting Kristen Lass, who is our town manager. She asked us a series of questions about helping to get some input in the strategic directions that are emerging through the strategic planning process. And it was very interesting about education and other things. And she asked a question about support, town support. And we feel very supported by our town. There are some committees in Westford, and it sounds like this is the case with you all, where town staff, town employees sort of staff those committees, support those committees. There's no one person in the Westford town government who supports DEI, but we're sort of supported by many in different ways. But what was interesting to me, and again, all towns are different and evolve differently, was interesting to me was how yours was structured. You're the coordinator of community services and also work with the DEI.
Yeah, I'm a department head for the town. So
how did that come about?
when the committee was first formed, there was a position that was, it's not, I don't think specifically designated for a town employee, but it was made an option that a town employee could be part of the committee. And I think the rationale for that was to hope to provide a link between the DEI efforts and also the staff of the town of Chelmsford, not just the townspeople, but also the staff. So our first town employee, who was a member of an original founding member of the committee, was our town clerk, Tricia Zuris, and she served her 3-year term and then decided to cycle off. So then I cycled on to take her spot as a town employee. So it's nice to have that connection with an employee. Tricia also was a department head, because, I can kind of get the sense of what's going on right at town hall. And it's been a goal of mine to try to, I won't say increase DEI efforts, I will say initiate DEI efforts within employees. I mean, certainly the schools do their thing. I mean, other individual departments may do their thing, but there hasn't been a real coordinated, large scale from the top down effort for employees where everybody's sort of taking the same kind of training or learning the same things. And so that's kind of a personal goal of mine that I would love to see happen.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
There's nothing I don't think there's anything designated. We have to have someone from the town on the committee. But
Right. Right.
That's how it's evolved, and it's really functional to have it that way.
That's interesting. So that your interest in DEI compelled you to be part of it.
Absolutely.
You happen to be a department head,
Right.
and that helps in terms of the liaison aspect, and even we talk about that too. Our goal, one of our goals, is to bring DEI, broadly understood, and to promote it across town boards, commissions, departments, etc. Haven't made a lot of progress because of the bandwidth, but one example for us might be that each of us would pick another committee, like the Affordable Housing Committee, and work with that committee to talk about the DEI lens in their discussions. So that would be a role that we could play, but having somebody on the staff would also, I imagine, energize efforts related to town hiring.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
great. I think that is a really good initiative that you have taken, because then you're taking your perspective to other departments and the staff. I really like.
I think it's important to mention too that I am not a resident of Chelmsford. I actually live in Townsend. And we have one other member of our committee who is not a resident of Chelmsford. They are a business owner in Chelmsford, but not a resident in Chelmsford. So I think it's great that our committee allows those, voices that have other perspectives in addition to just very Chelmsford central,
There's a connection to Chelmsford, and so therefore folks can be on the committee.
Sure.
Oh, that's interesting. It's interesting. So let me just jump back to Indigenous Peoples Day. We have had recently a couple of events that we're really proud of, and Wendy Gloyd, who we just spoke to, sort of led our efforts for Pride. We coordinated with Acton for a Pride Day, as we've already talked about, and then we also had a
Juneteenth, yeah, Juneteenth
which
event.
Anjali was very involved with, and those really were great events, one after the other, and we're really happy to do it, and had the support of the select board. We also had the support of the town to make Indigenous Peoples Day the second Monday of October, and only Indigenous Peoples Day, so we're thrilled about that. We also feel an obligation to recognize it and celebrate it, so we are going to be planning something for that day in October, and wanted to let you know about it, invite you to join us if that would sync up with your thoughts and actions potentially related to Indigenous Peoples Day.
What day do you have for that?
It would be the second Monday in October, whatever that day is.
Yeah, we're in the very infancy stages of planning something for Indigenous Peoples Day, but we will be doing it on the Saturday prior to that Monday. It will coincide with our weekly farmers market that happens on the Common. We do quite a number of events that coincide with the farmers market, which I happen to also coordinate. So that makes things a little bit easier. But, where we have this weekly event on the Common that draws people in already, it's kind of nice to plan events in conjunction with that, because we know people are coming to the Common for the farmers market anyway. So whatever we can do to get them to stay. So our Juneteenth celebration coincided with the market. Our Pride celebrations coincided with the market, that sort of thing. Day of Peace coincides with the market, which also coincides with the health department's fall festival. So lots of cross collaboration happening.
Oh, that's nice. So that's October 12th.
We are in the early stages of doing this Indigenous people planning. And Jen doesn't even know this because we met with this Sophie Thiem from the Enterprise Bank DEI. And she is very interested in Indigenous people. And she talked about having an Indigenous People Day for Merrimack Valley, maybe getting a bunch of people together to do something. She had some contacts. She had some contact with Native American tribes and stuff. So she is just entering the scene for this planning. So it could be a bigger kind of different type thing if we know more about it, we'll tell you about it. But
yeah, we actually have a meeting tomorrow morning with Sophie to discuss you know,
wow.
what we're hoping to do. So,
Well, we'd love to hear about it. And if we can be helpful, that would be great. Because it is, in actual fact, we think that what has happened in Westford in terms of adopting Indigenous Peoples Day and in other 20 or 25 other communities is going to happen more and more. And we think that there might even be a state law, state change. And there's sort of organic expressions of support. It sounds like this is one, perhaps. So,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, we'd love to help if that's possible.
Yeah.
Similar to what just Jen stated and Bill stated about having those events or combining those events, we are also thinking about international block party, right, Joe, that we talked about last night,
Mm-hmm.
which will happen at the community market. We used to call it as farmers market as well in Westford, but now the name is changed to community market, and that happens on Tuesdays here. And we are planning that event on August 27th, so that will be a good event. Something almost like Chelmsford does, but in this international block party used to happen at a big scale for 2 years, and this year I don't think that we had the bandwidth to do it at a large scale. Financially, it was kind of going to put some constraints, so we decided to combine it with a community market event. I think there's a learning there. Maybe we can attend 1 or 2 of your events on how you guys do it in Chelmsford and take some learnings and bring it back to our town as well.
Sure.
And, we want you to join us at the International Block Party if you are able, and to perhaps market it a little. And if you wanted a table, it's just a thought.
Yeah.
And there will be other opportunities, too, for us to be at each other's events. But, this is just another one.
You were mentioning planning. Chelmsford's going through a strategic planning.
Oh, as well. Okay.
Yes.
Right now. And we've just been notified of we're going to be contacted about what we see for the future and all that. So we have to talk as our committee as to what we want to tell them our priorities are. But I know one curiosity I have is we have no budget per se. Do you have a budget? Does Westford give you a budget?
Let me answer that in a second, but let me also say you're welcome to preview what you might say to the folks who are running a strategic planning process about what you are looking forward to in the future for the committee. You can tell us right here and now. As far as a budget is concerned, there was a gift given to us by, was it Enterprise Bank?
I think it was Level 5 Bank.
Level 5, yeah. Of about $2,500. And so that's available for incidental expenses. We've talked about putting together sort of a fundraising approach. We also know that if there's a need, that we can approach the town to access some of its free cash. We have not done that yet at this point. Do you guys have a budget per se?
We don't have a budget per se. The town approves some things for us, and occasionally, I think, and then we try to raise money the way you're describing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there is towns that have budgets.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And there is towns that have specific staff people assigned to it. Not that we don't like the way we have it with Jen and everything. I'm just throwing out ideas that I know other towns I've heard about. I just want, for instance, our tent just broke, so we got to fix our tent. We got to figure out a way to pay for that. And every little bit comes out of, it's easy to run out after a little bit.
So we have a few minutes left, and let me just ask you, and certainly just sort of maybe quickly tick off what's ahead, what's in store down the road for your committee. What are the events? I think you mentioned some of them already.
Yeah, so Bill mentioned that I think the next one we have coming up, right, Bill, is the Day of Peace, which is in conjunction with our fall festival. And that's a really large event. That's going to be September 28th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. I think, so I just got an update from the health director this morning that they have confirmed 7 food trucks and possibly more at that. There's also, Touch a Truck for the kids. I mean, So we typically around our common block off the street that runs along the back of the common. This year we're going to actually be blocking off North Road, a portion of North Road, because last year the event was so huge, thousands of people. So
Wow.
there will be resources from both the Chelmsford community, but also community partners. And if you have interest in tabling there, let me know, because I might be able to find a space for you. But there also will be, in addition to the food trucks and the Touch a Truck, there is a show that gets put on by Disney heroes and princesses, so people who dress up in costumes for the kids. There's a balloon animal artist that will be there. There will be pumpkins available free to kids to be able to paint on site. There's face painting. The vendors all have giveaways. Plus, we have our farmers market vendors, which sort of like you guys, we're not strictly a farmers market. We're actually called Chelmsford Market on the Common, and we feature farmers, but also artisan bakers and crafters. And so there'll be lots of vendors for that as well. So it's a really, really, really large event.
Is this the first time you've done Day of Peace?
No, we've done Day of Peace before, but we've done it separately, a separate event.
Oh, okay.
And so this year we decided to essentially have a table at Fall Fest, and Day of Peace would be our focus for this year.
When you say Day of Peace, what does that mean? If I'm a listener, what should I connect it with?
So you can look up International Day of Peace. It's a movement, or whatever you want to call it, just like Black History Month or that sort of thing. Yeah.
And is the DEI committee sort of a co-sponsor or planner, co-planner?
Not really a co-sponsor, more of a vendor at this event.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout the year, we have some events that we tack on to other people's events, and we have some events that we are the leader on, and there's some events that we co-lead on. And this is what we just kind of have. We tried to do a fundraiser, I think it was a year ago or so, and we felt it would be best to go with the Fall Festival since they get such a big amount of people there. And
what's so interesting about that, though, and so refreshing, is even though it's not a DEI committee sponsored event, it's a town event.
Sure.
And the DEI committee is integrated into that.
Yeah, we tabled at our country fair that happens during the July 4th celebration. We also had a presence, I think, Bill, at the holiday prelude that happens around the holidays. So anytime there's like large townwide events that we have the opportunity to even just table at, we'll do that.
Because many people, despite us being around a while, don't know about us. They don't know what we do, who we are. They don't even know we exist, many of the people in the town. So we're constantly trying to find ways to market us, to let them know we exist, and we're working on DEI for the town. So
yeah, and we don't just table. We provide some really fun games for kids to play. So it draws people to our table. The kids are playing the games, and while the kids are playing the games, we have a jar of quotes and facts about DEI that when the child plays the game, Bill will say, here, give your parent this. And the parent then opens it up and reads the quote or the fact, and then discussions happen. So we have prizes for the kids, little prizes, and we do a bubble machine, and like we make it fun to come to our booth. And the newest thing we're doing is we designed refrigerator magnets with a link to our website so that people can have a takeaway, a freebie to take with them, and then hopefully they're putting their DEI magnets on the fridge. And
can we shamelessly copy you?
Yeah.
Some of these?
One of our members, here's an idea you might want to copy. We were looking for ways. We used to put the booth in a town thing. People will walk right by. If they take a look at you to walk. So one of our members came up with this idea of having these games for kids, and while the kids are playing, you give the parent a DEI thing, or you show the parent the DEI. And what has evolved is one dartboard thing where you have a Velcro thing where the kids throw a dart trying to get in the middle. The kids love this for some reason. I don't know why it's so popular, but during July 3rd, the country fair, I had lines for like 3 hours of kids wanting to do it.
Yeah, and they all say, how much does it cost? And we're like, oh, it's free.
It's
Oh,
free.
it's free?
I know.
Yeah.
And you give the kid a little sucker or some kind of prize, and they're all happy, and the parents happy, and then you show them your DEI thing, and they all come to our booth. Our booth was popular because of this kid's thing.
Yeah, we decided we're going to have a donation jar from now on because we have so many people. Yeah.
Great idea. Great idea.
It's a simple thing, but it was very successful, and we weren't always successsul like this. We had years of people walking by our booth going, "Who are those people?"
Well, it's interesting because I think it is sometimes a matter of just in the ways that you describe, sort of fun ways, normalizing the idea of DEI, and then engaging with the quote game, which I want to shamelessly copy.
And then many of the residents of the town will say, "Oh, I didn't even know you exist. What are you guys doing? You know, it's good to know. I'm glad we stopped here. You know."
We get that too when people realize what we do. And this was at the Pride event. They said, "I'm so glad that that you're doing this," but they didn't necessarily know.
And the quotes and facts that we have, we tailor towards the event. So for Juneteenth, it was all quotes and facts about Juneteenth. For Pride, it will be all quotes and facts about Pride.
Did one of you develop these quotes, or did you find them?
Yeah, we
put together?
So for Juneteenth, I was lucky enough to have an intern working in my office, and that was her job the week before Juneteenth, was to scour the internet for facts and quotes about Juneteenth, and then put them in a format and cut them out, print them out, cut them out, and we printed them even on red, yellow, and green paper, so they were in a glass jar. It was really attractive looking in the Juneteenth colors, and
that is a great example of the resource the town brings. To the committee.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, it's a great example.
The regular DEI stuff, one of our members just gets it. I don't know where Beth gets it from. She got it online somewhere, I think.
We could utilize some kids from high school or middle school to do the same thing and give them maybe some voluntary hours or something like that. Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you have, just like Chelmsford does, they require their students.
But it's a great project, right? It's a great project. Your daughter's in high school, right? Yeah.
We had a whole jar of these things for a couple of events, and we ran out last time because there's so many kids.
That's interesting.
And I asked Beth, who does it, going, "You got to refill this." She goes, "I'll do that, no problem," which means it's pretty easy.
It is.
If there was a problem, she wouldn't say it's so easy. Matter of factly, I'll fill it up.
I'm happy to send you my template. So
that's great. Thank you so much, Jen, for sharing the knowledge. That's helpful.
We are way past our time, but time flies when you're having fun. And I think that this conversation will continue. At least I hope it does.
Yeah.
With you at events or ahead of events, and there are a lot of next steps. We've both taken notes, and we'll definitely get in touch about being able to go to each other's events and sharing information. And
you're welcome to come to a meeting anytime you want. Also, if anybody would like to come to one of our meetings.
Yeah, I would like to attend definitely, Bill. Thank you.
I think it would be great if we could
on the 13th and on the 27th in the town hall at 7:00 at night. So if either one of those times work for you, you want to come by, just let me know you're coming.
Of August?
Yes.
August 13th and the 27th.
And then our next meeting is at the very end of August. I think it's the 28th, Wednesday the 28th.
Yeah.
And I think it would be great even if we could collaborate on an event or two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, why don't we think about that and get in touch, follow up on this conversation, which, while not broadcast live, may be listened to by other people, and I'm hoping that happens. Anyway, thank you both. Thank you, Anjali.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you both. This is
yeah,
really
thanks.
Great.
Good to collaborate.
Yep, same here.